The ruins were silent. Broken walls stood like dead giants, and dust floated in the air. The place had been empty for hundreds of years, but when Captain Harris stepped inside, it felt alive. His boots echoed on the cold floor. Each step sounded louder than it should, as if something was listening. He raised his flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, showing broken machines, twisted metal, and old symbols on the walls. Nobody had walked here before, not in human history. These were alien ruins, a forgotten city buried under stone and shadow. Harris was not afraid of ruins. He had explored many worlds, but tonight felt different. Something was wrong. The air was heavy, like it carried a secret. His hand went to his sidearm, just in case. Then he heard it. A voice, soft, fragile, almost too weak to exist. "I'm not clean." Harris froze. His breath caught in his throat. The sound came from deeper inside, from the darkness ahead. His light shook slightly as he raised it. Nothing moved, only dust. Only silence. He waited, listening. His heart beat faster. Was it an echo? A trick of the ruin? Or a person? Then again, the voice. This time clearer. "I'm not clean." Harris swallowed hard. The voice was female, young and tired. But there was something else. Something broken in it. He stepped forward, slow, careful. "Who's there?" he called. His own voice sounded strange in the ruins. Too loud, too human, no answer. He walked deeper. The ruins narrowed into a long hall. The walls were covered in strange carvings, shapes that twisted if you looked too long. His flashlight flickered, though his battery was full. Harris stopped. He had the strange feeling of being watched. Like eyes were staring from the shadows. His throat felt dry. Then from the left corner, the whisper again. "I'm not clean." His skin went cold. He turned the light. There was movement. Small, quick. Something hiding behind a broken pillar. He raised his weapon but held his breath. "Show yourself," he said. The figure stepped out. At first, Harris thought it was a child. Small body, thin arms. But no, not a child. A girl, maybe 18 or 19, with pale skin that seemed to glow faintly in the dark. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Her hair hung loose, tangled, almost silver under the light. But what caught his eyes was the cloth. A strange, dark cloth covered half her face. It wasn't normal cloth. It looked like it was moving, shifting, breathing. The girl stared at him. With wide eyes, they glowed faintly, too bright for human eyes. She opened her lips. "I'm not clean." She whispered again, almost crying. Harris lowered his weapon but kept his distance. His instinct screamed at him to leave, to run. But something about her. She looked human. She sounded human. "Who are you?" he asked. She didn't answer. She only shook her head slowly, clutching the cloth against her cheek like she was hiding something. "What do you mean?" Harris pressed. "Not clean?" Her lips trembled. She stepped back into the shadows. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. Her voice cracked, heavy with pain. "If you stay, you will see. If you see, your heart will stop." Harris felt his chest tighten. What did she mean? Was she dangerous or warning him? He took one careful step closer. His light moved across her face. For a moment, he saw the cloth twitch, pulsed as if alive. Her hand shot up quickly, pressing it back against her skin. Her breathing grew fast. "Don't look," she begged. The ruins went silent again. Harris heard his own heartbeat in his ears. Louder, faster. What was under that cloth? He wanted to run. He wanted to leave her there, in the darkness, and forget this place. But he couldn't. Something about her voice, broken and sad, pulled him in. He lowered his gun fully. His hand shook slightly as he spoke. "I'm not here to hurt you," Harris said slowly. "I just want to understand." Her eyes filled with tears. For a second, she looked almost human again, almost safe, but then the cloth moved again, this time more violently. Like it wanted to fall. Her face twisted with fear. "No, please," she whispered. "If it falls, you won't survive." Harris felt cold all over. His instincts screamed louder now. This was no ordinary cloth. No ordinary girl. The ruins around him seemed to grow darker, as if the shadows listened to her words. His flashlight flickered again, and he realized something terrifying. This was no echo, no trick. The ruins were alive, and whatever she was hiding, it was watching him. The ruins whispered with silence. Harris stood frozen, his light locked on the strange girl. She was half in shadow, half in the dim circle of his flashlight. Pale skin, glowing eyes. And that cloth, that living cloth pressed against her cheek. He had seen alien machines. He had seen monsters that wore human skin, but he had never seen this. Her voice trembled again. "I'm not clean." The words were soft, almost broken. Not a warning this time, more like a confession. Harris forced himself to breathe. His chest felt tight. "You're human," he said, his voice low. The girl flinched at the word, as if it cut her. For a second, her lips parted. She wanted to speak. But instead, her eyes darted to the shadows around them. She stepped back, clutching the cloth tighter. "No," she whispered, "not anymore." Her answer chilled him more than any alien sound could. Harris raised his light higher. Now he could see her fully. Her arms were covered with faint scars, like burns in strange patterns. Her clothes were old, too old human style, but torn, almost ancient. His throat went dry. "How long have you been here?" he asked. The girl's eyes flicked to him again, glowing faint in the dark. She shook her head slowly. "Time doesn't work here," she whispered. "The ruins keep me. The cloth keeps me. I cannot leave." Her voice broke. She sounded tired. Hopeless. Harris felt a strange pull inside him. She was human. She had to be. Maybe not fully, maybe broken, but still human. His mission was to explore, to search, to discover. But no mission could explain why his heart refused to let him walk away. He lowered his weapon and took a small step closer. Her breath caught. "Stop," she whispered, panic flashing in her eyes. "You don't understand. If you see what I hide, your heart will stop." The ruins around them groaned, like stone shifting. Dust fell from the ceiling. Harris froze, scanning the darkness. Were the ruins moving? Or was it only in his head? The girl pressed her hand harder against the cloth. For a second, Harris thought it was over. But then, the cloth moved. It twitched against her skin, like something alive under it. It stretched, pulling away from her cheek, as if fighting her grip. She gasped and forced it back. Harris's blood ran cold. That was no fabric. That was something else. Something alive. "What is it?" he whispered. Her eyes met his. There was sorrow in them, deep and endless. "It is the reason I am not clean," she said softly. "It is the reason you should leave." Her voice cracked at the end, almost breaking into tears. Harris's instinct screamed, "Run! Escape! Forget this place." But another part of him, the part that made him human, refused. He stepped closer. "I can help you," he said firmly. "I don't know how, but I can try." The girl shook her head violently. "No one helps, no one survives. The cloth feeds. It waits. If you stay," her voice cut off. The cloth pulsed, this time more violently. It rippled like liquid, shifting shapes that made no sense to the human eye. Harris felt his stomach twist just looking at it. His light flickered again. She cried out, pressing both hands against her cheek now. "Don't look." She screamed. Harris staggered back, but not out of fear. Out of shock, because in that brief second, he had seen beneath the edge of the cloth, not fully. Not enough to destroy him, but enough. Enough to see skin that was not skin. Flesh covered. In glowing lines, symbols that moved, shapes that hurt the brain to watch. His heart raced. His body felt weak. "What are you?" He whispered. The girl's shoulders shook. She was crying now, silent tears running down her pale skin. "I was human," she whispered. "Once, before the cloth. Before the ruins chose me." Her words sank like knives into him. Harris clenched his fists. He wanted to argue. He wanted to say she was still human, no matter what the ruins did to her. But he couldn't. Not after what he saw under that cloth. The silence grew heavier. The ruins seemed to breathe. The shadows thickened. Finally, Harris spoke. His voice low. "Then tell me the truth. What happens if the cloth falls?" Her eyes closed, and when she opened them again, they glowed brighter, filled with something not human. "If it falls," she whispered, her voice breaking, "your heart will stop. Just like theirs." Harris froze. "Theirs?" he asked slowly. She turned her head toward the dark. For the first time, Harris noticed the floor around the pillars. Bones, dozens, hundreds, human bones. Mixed with alien metal, the silence pressed. Harder. The ruins had not been empty after all. They had been feeding. The ruins were no longer silent. They were breathing. Harris could feel it, the air itself moving, slow and steady, like lungs inside the walls. His light shook in his hand, catching fragments of bone, broken metal, and carvings that twisted. The longer he looked at them, and then his eyes locked on the girl. She was shaking, pressing her hands desperately against the strange cloth on her face. But the cloth was alive, fighting her grip. It pulsed like a beating heart. It squirmed like a living thing, straining to fall. "Stay back," she cried, voice filled with terror. Her glowing eyes darted to him, pleading. "If you see it, if you truly see it, you will die." Harris's chest felt tight. He should have turned away. He should have run. But his body refused to move. He was drawn to the cloth, to the mystery of what lay beneath it. He forced himself to speak. "What is it?" Her lips trembled. For a moment, she looked like a child, frightened and weak. "It's not mine," she whispered. "It was never mine. It clings, feeds. It shows things you cannot survive." The ruins groaned again, and dust fell around them. Harris's heart pounded faster. His training told him this was wrong, that he was in danger. But his humanity, his stubborn need to know, kept him frozen. The cloth pulsed harder, and then it moved on its own. The edges lifted, just slightly, slipping between her fingers. A faint glow leaked from underneath, not warm, but cold. The kind of light that didn't belong in any world. She gasped, shoving it back down. Her whole body shook with effort. "Don't look," she screamed, her voice cracking with pain. "Please, don't." But Harris had seen enough to know that cloth wasn't covering her. It was controlling her. It wanted to fall. It wanted to be seen. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Is it alive?" Her head snapped toward him. "Alive? No. Worse. It remembers. It carries every death it caused, and it wants more." Harris's stomach twisted. He remembered the bones on the floor. Dozens of explorers, maybe hundreds. Were they all drawn here, like him? Drawn to the cloth, only to die when it revealed itself. The girl staggered forward suddenly, falling to her knees. She clutched her face, sobbing. I begged it to kill me, she whispered. But it doesn't. It keeps me. It uses me. I'm not clean. I'll never be clean. Her words sank into him like poison. Harris crouched slightly, lowering his voice, as if speaking to a frightened animal. Maybe there's a way to remove it, to cut it away. Her laugh was hollow, broken. She shook her head. Many tried, she said. Knives, fire, even their machines. But the moment they touched it, the cloth moved, and their hearts stopped. The silence that followed was heavy. Harris's flashlight flickered again. The ruins seemed to pulse with her words. The girl raised her head, her glowing eyes filled with tears. Don't try to save me, just leave. But Harris didn't move. Something deep inside refused to abandon her then. Without warning, the cloth shivered violently. Her scream echoed through the ruins. She fell backward, clutching at her face as the cloth writhed like a nest of snakes. For a heartbeat, Harris saw more of what lay beneath, and he wished he hadn't. It wasn't flesh, not fully. It was flesh fused with alien symbols, glowing lines, that crawled across her skin like living scars. Shapes that twisted reality, patterns that hurt the brain to watch. Harris's vision blurred. His chest ached. He staggered, almost falling. The girl's scream turned into sobs. She forced the cloth back against her cheek, panting, trembling. Do you see? She gasped. That was only a glimpse. And still you feel it. If it falls completely, you won't survive a single breath. Harris gripped his chest, his heartbeat hammering. He knew she was right. His body felt weaker already, but his mind refused to let go. He swallowed hard. Why? Why does it keep you alive? Her eyes darkened. She whispered the words slowly, painfully. Because I am the bait. Harris's blood ran cold. The ruins around them groaned louder, almost like laughter. And for the first time, Harris realized the truth. The cloth wasn't just hiding her infection. It was a trap, a lure, something that waited for humans to come close, so it could feed again. The girl trembled, pressing her hand tighter over the cloth. Her voice was barely a breath. I told you, I'm not clean. Harris's flashlight flickered again, and in that dim light, he thought he saw the cloth smile. The ruins groaned again, like stone shifting under some invisible weight. Harris steadied himself, still breathing hard, still feeling the pressure of what he had just seen beneath the cloth. The girl sat on the floor, trembling. Her hands clutched the living fabric as though her life depended on it. Maybe it did. Her pale face glistened with sweat, her glowing eyes full of exhaustion and despair. Harris's chest still burned from the glimpse. He knew he had come close. To death, closer than ever before, yet he couldn't step away. The mystery pulled at him, stronger than fear. He spoke carefully, his voice low, almost gentle. Tell me, what happened to you? The girl's lips trembled. She shook her head at first, as if the memory itself could hurt. You don't want to know, she whispered. If I tell you, you'll see it in your mind, and it will follow you. Her words made the air feel heavier. Harris swallowed hard. He should stop. He should leave. But he couldn't. I've seen enough already, he said firmly. You owe me the truth. She flinched at the word truth. For a long moment she was silent, only the sound of her ragged breathing filling the hall. Then, slowly, she lowered her gaze. I was human, she whispered. A long time ago. The words made Harris's pulse quicken. He had suspected it, but hearing it confirmed struck deeper. How long? He asked. Her eyes flicked up to him. Tears gathered at the edges, shimmering faintly. I don't know. T ruins don't keep time. Days feel like years, and years like moments. But when I came here, I was like you. Harris's throat went dry. Another explorer. Another traveler drawn into this place. Her voice broke as she continued. We found it. The cloth? It wasn't on me then. It was waiting. It lay across the altar like a gift. My team thought it was dead fabric, alien clothing, a relic to study. Her hand shook against her cheek. The cloth writhed faintly, as if remembering. They touched it, she whispered, and it touched back. It moved, it chose me. Her voice grew sharper, filled with pain. They screamed when it lifted. They screamed as their hearts stopped, one by one. And she sobbed. I lived. I don't know why. It spared me, or cursed me. But from that moment, I became its host. Harris clenched his jaw, anger and pity mixing in his chest. He could almost see it, her team collapsing around her, lifeless on the floor. While she alone survived, chained forever, to the thing now pressed against her face. She leaned forward, her voice raw. Do you understand now? I'm not clean. I carry it. It whispers to me. It shows me things humans should never see. Her glowing eyes met his, desperate for him to believe. I begged for death, she whispered, but it doesn't let me die. It needs me alive. It uses me. I am its mask. The silence that followed was unbearable. Harris's light flickered weakly across the carvings on the walls. The symbols twisted again, but now he understood. They weren't just decorations. They were instructions, rituals, traps. The ruins weren't a city. They were a cage. His voice was hoarse when he finally spoke. Why me? Why now? The girl's lips curved into a bitter smile. Because you came. Because humans always come. Curiosity brings you here, and the cloth feeds. It waits for hearts strong enough to break. And when the cloth falls, it takes them. Her words hit like a hammer. Harris thought of the bones scattered across the floor. Explorers, soldiers, maybe whole expeditions, all lured here by the Libstias. My lured here by the Apes. Ruins, all silenced by the cloth. The girl's shoulders shook. She pulled her knees close, clutching herself. I am the trap. I am the bait. It keeps me alive because you will follow me. You will listen. You will stay when every instinct tells. You too run. Her tears glowed faintly in the dark, like liquid light. Harris felt his heart ache. He knew she was right. He knew his own legs should have carried him out already, but still he stayed. Still he looked at her, desperate to know more. He whispered, "Can it be destroyed?" Her laugh was hollow, broken. They tried fire, acid, blades, even alien tech. But the cloth is not material. It's memory, it's hunger. You can't kill hunger. You can only feed it. Harris's blood ran cold. The girl leaned closer now, her voice dropping to a whisper sharp as a knife. Do you understand? If it falls, you are finished. Not just your life, your mind, your soul. It will write itself into you until there is nothing left. That is the secret of the cloth. Her hand trembled. For a heartbeat, she almost let go. The fabric writhed eagerly, straining, toward freedom. Harris's breath caught in his throat. Then, with a sob, she forced it back, pressing it hard against her face. I told you, she whispered, her voice almost gone. I'm not clean. And if you stay, neither will you. Ruin sighed. Around them, as if agreeing, and Harris knew he was standing inside a living hunger. The silence in the ruins was heavier now. It pressed against Harris's skin, thick and suffocating, as if the air itself wanted him gone. The girl sat trembling on the floor, both hands clamped against the cloth, her glowing eyes filled with despair. She had told him the truth, or enough of it. The cloth was not hers. The ruins were not dead, and she was the bait, Every instinct in Harris's body screamed to leave, but he didn't move. He couldn't. He looked at her, fragile, broken, trapped, and something inside him refused to abandon her. Maybe it was human stubbornness. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was that endless human need to fight back. Even when the fight was already lost, he stepped closer. Her head snapped up. Fear exploded in her glowing eyes. "No," she cried, her voice sharp as the crack of stone. "Don't come near me. You don't understand." "I do understand," Harris said, his voice steady though his heart raced. "You're still human. You're not just the cloth. You don't deserve this." She shook her head violently. "You think kindness can save me? It can't. The cloth doesn't want mercy. It wants to be seen. That's all it wants. If you try to help me, it will make you see." Her warning only made him step closer. He crouched, lowering himself to her level. He kept his flashlight steady on her face, though his hand trembled. "I've seen soldiers burned alive. I've seen machines tear through colonies. But I've never walked away from someone who begged for help. Not once. And I'm not starting now." Her lips trembled. For a heartbeat, her face softened, not with hope, but with sorrow. "You don't understand," she whispered again, but this time her voice cracked. "That's why you'll die." Harris set his weapon aside. Slowly, carefully, he reached into his pack and pulled out a small device, a medical scanner. Built to analyze alien pathogens. The moment the scanner beeped alive, the ruins changed. The air grew colder, the walls groaned. The carvings on the stone shifted, twisting into patterns that seemed to crawl. Harris's skin prickled. He knew, somehow, the ruins didn't like the scanner. The girl's eyes widened with horror. "No," she cried. "Put it away. If you point it at the cloth, it will react." But Harris didn't stop. He raised the scanner, the beam of blue light falling across her trembling body at once. The cloth shivered. It pulsed, rippling across her face like liquid metal. The patterns on its surface writhed, shifting faster, too fast for human eyes. A low hum filled the ruins, vibrating through the walls and into Harris's bones. The girl screamed, clutching at it, but the cloth was stronger. It stretched, pulling against her grip, straining to fall. Harris felt his heartbeat stumble. His chest tightened as the scanner screamed warnings in red text. Unclassified organic tech. Hybrid, hostile, SELF defense, response detected. The girl fell to her knees, sobbing, her voice echoing in the vast ruin. "Stop, please. You'll make it fall." But Harris couldn't stop. He couldn't walk away. If this parasite was alive, if it was controlling her, then maybe there was a way to weaken it. Maybe, just maybe, he could save her. He adjusted the scanner, pushing it to full power. The cloth reacted instantly. It erupted in glowing lines, writhing violently, its surface rippling with impossible shapes. The air around them warped, bending. Light Harris's stomach twisted as the world itself seemed to fracture, and then came the whisper. Not hers, not the girl's. The cloth itself whispered, "Look at me." The words were soft, but they shook the ruins. Harris's blood turned cold. His knees weakened. His vision blurred, as though some invisible hand was forcing his head to turn to see what lay beneath. The girl screamed again, clutching at the parasite, her voice raw with terror. "Don't listen. Don't look. If you see it, you're finished." Harris gritted his teeth, fighting the pull. His chest pounded, his heart a drum of pain. The scanner sparked, struggling against the impossible data pouring into it. The cloth whispered again, closer this time, as if it were right beside his ear. "Look at me, and I will show you." Harris almost broke. His hand shook. His eyes burned. The temptation was unbearable. Part of him wanted to see, wanted to understand the secret hidden beneath, but another part, the human part, fought back. He forced. The scanner, too, shut down. The blue light vanished. The hum stopped. The ruins groaned like a beast denied its prey. The cloth quivered violently, then stilled, pressing flat against her face once more. The girl collapsed forward, gasping, sobbing. Into her hands, Harris staggered back, his chest aching. His heart felt wrong, too heavy, too fast. His vision swam, though the cloth had not fully revealed itself. He knew he had come close to death. The girl lifted her head, her face streaked with tears. "You fool," she whispered. "You tempted it. You almost gave it what it wants. Next time, it won't stop." Harris bent down, breathing hard, his voice hoarse. "Then there won't be a next time," he said. "Because I'm not leaving you here. I will find a way to end this." Her glowing eyes locked on his. For the first time, he saw something new in them. Not fear, not despair, but pity. She shook her head slowly. "You can't end it," she whispered. "You can only join it." The ruins sighed again, louder this time, like stone laughter. And Harris felt, deep in his bones, that she was right. The ruins were not silent anymore. They throbbed like a heart. The walls pulsed with faint light, the carvings shifting in endless loops. Dust rained from the ceiling, as if the whole place trembled with hunger. Harris stood frozen, chest tight, every muscle tense. The girl knelt on the ground, her fingers clutching the living cloth against her cheek. Her breath came in ragged gasps, every sound filled with terror. But Harris saw the truth. Her grip was slipping. The cloth was stronger. It had been waiting for him. It twitched once, twice, and then pressed harder against her trembling hands. Her glowing eyes widened in horror. "No, no, not now," she whispered. "Not in front of him." Harris stepped forward instinctively. "Hold it, don't let go." She shook her head wildly, tears spilling. "I can't. It wants you. It wants you to see." The ruins groaned, stones splitting with cracks. The air thickened, vibrating like a storm ready to break. Harris's flashlight flickered violently, its beam cutting in and out. And then it happened. The cloth tore free. It slid down her cheek in a single fluid motion, like liquid shadow falling. The fabric rippled as it dropped, twisting in shapes that weren't possible, curling around her neck like a serpent. For the first time, Harris saw what was beneath. His heart stumbled. His breath caught. Her face was no longer human. It was half flesh, half something else. Glowing scars burned into her skin, alive with moving symbols. Strange geometry crawled across her cheekbone, bending space itself. Her flesh pulsed with alien light, as if her veins carried starlight instead of blood. And her eye, her uncovered eye, was not an eye anymore. It was a black circle, deep and endless, like a hole into another world. Harris's knees buckled. Pain exploded in his chest. His vision fractured into shards of light. He felt his heart twist violently, as though an invisible hand was squeezing it. The girl screamed, reaching for the cloth, trying to cover herself again. "Don't look," she cried. "Please, don't." But Harris couldn't look away. Atay's mind was trapped. The shapes burned into his vision, twisting deeper the longer he stared. The black eye widened, and something inside it moved. A shadow, vast and endless. Harris's stomach lurched. He realized he wasn't staring into her eye. He was staring through it, through her, into something beyond, something alive, something watching. The ruins roared. The walls shook. Bones clattered across the floor. The carvings shone like fire, all pulsing in time with her exposed face. Harris collapsed to one knee, clutching his chest. His heart hammered wildly, then stumbled, then hammered again. He felt death pressing closer, pressing harder. The girl clawed at the cloth, sobbing. "Don't die, please, don't die." But the cloth refused to rise. It writhed at her throat, rippling with laughter. Harris's vision darkened at the edges. His ears rang. His body trembled, weak and heavy. He felt his heartbeat stutter again. Slower this time. He wanted to close his eyes, but he couldn't. Something in the black circle pulled him deeper, forcing him to see. His mind screamed, but his body obeyed the darkness. And then, in that endless void, he saw more dot cities collapsing under alien suns. Oceans boiling, stars bleeding into each other. Shapes moving through galaxies like hunters. The same cloth on countless worlds, feeding, spreading, waiting. His mind cracked. He gasped, choking. "It's everywhere." The girl's scream cut through his fading thoughts. She lunged forward, grabbing the cloth with both hands. With a desperate cry, she yanked it upward, slamming it back over her face. At once, the visions ended. The black circle vanished. The ruins groaned in anger, the walls trembling as if disappointed. Harris collapsed fully, chest heaving, his heart struggling to beat. He tasted blood. His vision blurred, but he was alive. Barely. The girl fell beside him, clutching the cloth, tight against her skin. Her whole body shook with exhaustion. Tears streaked her pale cheeks. "I told you," she whispered, voice weak, broken. "I told you if it falls, your heart will stop." Harris coughed, forcing air into his lungs. His chest burned with each beat, his heart fragile, as though one more glimpse would shatter it forever. He stared at her, unable to find words. The girl's glowing eyes met his, filled with sorrow. "You weren't meant to see. Now it will never let you go." The ruins hummed again, deep and low, like a beast waiting to. The ruins had gone silent again, not dead silent. Waiting silent, Captain Harris lay on the cold floor, chest rising and falling in sharp, painful breaths. His heart still trembled inside him, weak and unsteady. He knew it had almost stopped. He knew if the cloth had stayed down for even a moment longer, he would be a corpse among the bones. The girl knelt beside him, hands clamped against the cloth, sobbing quietly. Her glowing eyes shimmered with guilt and sorrow. "I told you," she whispered. "I told you not to see. No one survives it." But Harris was alive. Barely, he swallowed hard, tasting blood, and forced his voice out. "Why me? Why did it stop? Why am I still here?" The girl froze. Her eyes flicked toward him, wide with disbelief. She shook her head slowly. "No," she said, her voice hollow. "That's not possible. No one lives once they see." Harris coughed, clutching his chest. "I did. I saw, and I'm still breathing." Her face twisted with confusion and fear. The cloth writhed faintly against her cheek, as if unsettled. For the first time, it seemed uncertain. Harris pushed himself up to one elbow, his body screaming in protest. He locked eyes with her. "What? Did it show me?" he rasped. "Stars burning, worlds falling. That thing everywhere. What is it?" She shook her head violently. "You weren't supposed to understand. It's too big, too old. It feeds on every human heart it touches." "But you," she stopped, staring at him. "You didn't break." The ruins groaned softly, like stones shifting in anger. The carvings on the walls twisted faster, glowing faint red. Harris felt the weight of unseen eyes pressing on him, watching, waiting, that. And then he realized the truth. The cloth had fallen because of him. It had chosen to show itself. It wanted to feed. But he had survived what no one else could, not because he was stronger, not because he was smarter, because he was human. Humans broke. Yes, humans bled. But humans also resisted. Humans also defied. And Harris had refused to look away. He laughed weakly, the sound rough in his throat. "That's why it keeps you alive," he whispered to the girl. "Not just to bait us, to test us, to see who breaks and who doesn't." Her eyes widened, horror dawning on her face. "No," she whispered, "don't say that. If you think you can resist it, you'll only make it stronger. You'll make it love you." The ruins shuddered violently, dust falling like rain. The cloth pulsed against her face, glowing faintly now. Not with hunger, but with interest. Harris staggered to his feet, trembling but standing. He stared at the ruins, at the carvings, at the bones. "All of them," he said, his voice low. "They died because they saw and gave up. They let the cloth own them, but not me." The girl shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "You don't understand if it doesn't kill you." Her voice broke. "It will keep you, forever." The ruins pulsed like a heartbeat. The walls glowed faintly. The air grew heavier, pressing on Harris's chest. He felt the cloth's whisper brushing against his mind again. "Look at me." This time, Harris smiled grimly. His heart pounded. Painfully, but it beat on. He whispered back, "Not today." The ruins groaned like thunder. The cloth writhed violently, hissing against her cheek. The girl screamed, clutching at it. "Go!" she cried, "before it changes its mind." Run, but Harris didn't move. He stepped closer to her, his voice steady despite the chaos. "You're still human," he said firmly. "I don't care what it's done to you. You are not just bait. You are not just its mask. You are more." Her glowing eyes flooded with tears. For the first time, she looked at him not with fear, but with something else. Hope. That the ruins shook harder, as if enraged. The cloth thrashed, its whispers turning into screams. "See me, see me, see me." Harris clenched his fists, refusing to look, refusing to break. And then, for the first time since he had entered the ruins, the cloth went still. The girl gasped, her body collapsing forward. The fabric clung to her face once more, quiet, subdued. As if retreating, the ruins fell silent. Harris stood over her, chest burning, vision blurring. He knew he couldn't stay. Not now. Not ever. But as he turned to leave, her voice reached him one last time. "I told you," she whispered weakly. "I'm not clean." He stopped, looking back at her. "No," he said softly, "but you're still human, and that means there's still a chance." Her glowing eyes widened. For the first time, a tear rolled down her cheek that wasn't sorrow. The ruin sighed, deep and low, as if mocking him. But Harris didn't care. He walked into the dark, his heart still beating. And behind him, the cloth trembled. Not in hunger, but in curiosity.